Before I tell you how my perfect marriage turned into a nightmare, let me ask you something. Have you ever trusted someone so completely that you ignored every warning sign? Comment below where you're watching from, and please subscribe if you believe mothers should always protect their children, no matter the cost. The clock showed 12:47 a.m. when I woke up. Something felt wrong. The air in our bedroom was too still, too empty. I reached across the bed and found cold sheets where my husband Blake should have been sleeping. My heart started racing before my mind could catch up. I sat up slowly, listening. That's when I heard it. A soft creak from the hallway, the sound our old floorboards made when someone tried to walk quietly. I slipped out of bed, my bare feet silent on the carpet. The hallway was dark except for a thin line of light under Rebecca's door. My 15-year-old daughter's door. And there, frozen in the dim glow, stood my husband's silhouette. He was turning her doorknob. My hand started shaking so badly I almost dropped my phone. But I managed to lift it, managed to press record. The video was shaky and dark, but it captured everything. Blake slipping inside my daughter's room. The door closing softly behind him. And then, through the wood, I heard his voice whisper words that made my blood turn to ice. Don't tell your mother. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the kitchen staring at my phone screen, watching that clip over and over until the sun came up. My coffee went cold in my hands. When Rebecca came downstairs for breakfast, I studied her face like I'd never seen it before. She looked tired. Her eyes were red. She wouldn't look at me. My voice came out sharper than I intended. Rebecca, we need to talk. Now. She froze halfway to the refrigerator, her shoulders tensing up. I showed her the phone, showed her the timestamp, showed her proof. She burst into tears immediately, covering her face with both hands. But when she finally spoke, her words confused me more than anything. Mom, he didn't do anything. Not yet. That word hung in the air between us like poison. Yet. What do you mean, yet? I demanded, standing up so fast my chair scraped against the floor. Rebecca was sobbing now, her whole body shaking. She grabbed my arms, her fingers digging in desperately. Please don't call the police. Please, Mom. You don't understand. Her voice dropped to a terrified whisper. He said he'll ruin us if we speak. 3. I confronted Blake that same morning. He was in the shower, singing like nothing in the world was wrong. When he came out wrapped in a towel, I stood blocking the bathroom door with my arms crossed. Why were you in Rebecca's room last night? His face didn't change. Not even a flicker of guilt. Instead, he smiled. That calm, patient smile he always used when he thought I was being dramatic. Claire, what are you talking about? I was in bed all night. The lie was so smooth it almost sounded true. I have proof, I said, my voice shaking. I recorded you. For just a second, something dark flashed in his eyes. Then he laughed. Actually laughed. You're becoming paranoid, baby. This stress is getting to you. Rebecca probably had a nightmare and you're imagining things. Before I could respond, I heard the front door open. Heavy footsteps. A voice I dreaded. Blake's mother walked into our bedroom without knocking, her face already twisted with disapproval. What is this noise so early in the morning? She demanded, glaring at me. Blake turned to her with false concern. Mom, Claire is accusing me of terrible things. I think she needs help. I ran to my phone, desperate to show them the video. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely unlock the screen. I opened my gallery. Scrolled to last night's recordings. My stomach dropped. The video was gone. Completely deleted. No, 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 I whispered, frantically checking my recently deleted folder, my cloud backup, everywhere. Nothing. Blake watched me with that same calm expression, but now I saw something else underneath. Satisfaction. Did you delete this? I accused, my voice rising. Did you go through my phone? He raised his eyebrows innocently. Claire, you're scaring me. Maybe you should rest. You've been working too hard. His mother nodded vigorously. This is what happens when women forget their place. You're an ungrateful second wife, Claire. My son gave you everything, and this is how you repay him. I felt like I was drowning, like reality itself was shifting under my feet. Rebecca stood in the doorway, silent and pale. When our eyes met, she looked away quickly. That night, I couldn't sleep again. I lay in bed next to Blake, who snored peacefully like nothing was wrong. At 2:34 a.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. We warned you once. Stay quiet. The next morning, I couldn't stay in that house. I needed someone who would believe me, someone outside Blake's control. I knocked on Brenda's door. She was my neighbor, a nurse who worked night shifts and had always been kind to Rebecca. When she opened the door and saw my face, she pulled me inside immediately. Claire, what happened? You look terrible. I told her everything. The midnight visits, Blake's gaslighting, the deleted video, the threatening text. Brenda listened without interrupting, her expression growing darker with each detail. When I finished, she reached across her kitchen table and squeezed my hand. I believe you, she said firmly. And I've noticed things too. Last week, I saw Rebecca sitting on our front steps at midnight, just staring at nothing. When I asked if she was okay, she ran back inside. My throat tightened. I feel so helpless. I have no proof now. Brenda stood up and walked to her closet. She came back holding a small black device. This is a nanny cam I used when my sister's kids visited. It's motion activated and uploads directly to a hidden cloud account. She pressed it into my hands. Let's get your proof back. Tonight. We installed the camera at 9 p.m., positioning it on the hallway bookshelf with a perfect view of Rebecca's door. It looked like a normal book spine, completely invisible unless you knew what to look for. Brenda showed me how to access the cloud feed from my laptop. Then we waited. I pretended everything was normal at dinner. Smiled at Blake's jokes. Helped his mother with the dishes. Every moment felt like acting in a play where I'd forgotten my lines. At 11:30 p.m., I told everyone I was going to bed early. Instead, I sat in the dark living room with my laptop open, watching the hallway feed. The house grew quiet. Midnight passed. 1 a.m. Nothing. My eyelids were getting heavy when movement on the screen made me sit up straight. 2:17 a.m. Blake's door opened. He stepped into the hallway, moving slowly, carefully. He walked straight to Rebecca's door and just stood there. 5 full minutes. Not moving, just standing. Then I noticed something that made my breath catch. He was holding something in his right hand, turning it over and over. I zoomed in on the footage, enhancing the image until I could see it clearly. A key. A duplicate key. To Rebecca's locked bedroom door. The next day, Blake's mother announced she was moving in. To help with the housework, she claimed, but I knew better. She was there to watch me, to control me. She took over the kitchen, rearranged my furniture, and criticized everything I did. At dinner that evening, Rebecca accidentally knocked over a glass of water. Before I could react, Blake's mother stood up and slapped Rebecca across the face. The sound echoed through the dining room. Clumsy, useless girl, she shouted. This is how children behave when mothers don't discipline them properly. I jumped up, fury burning through my chest. Don't you ever touch my daughter again. Blake slammed his hand on the table. Claire. That's my mother. Show some respect. I stared at him in disbelief. She just hit Rebecca. He shrugged. Rebecca needs discipline. My mother is helping us. You should be grateful. That night, I couldn't sleep again. Around 1 a.m., I heard whispers from downstairs. I crept to the staircase and listened. Blake and his mother were talking in the living room. "We need to send the girl away soon," his mother was saying. "Before this woman poisons her completely. I know a good boarding school up north. Already working on it, Mom. She won't be a problem much longer." The next morning, I went through Blake's study while he was at work. I found them in his desk drawer, enrollment forms for a boarding school 5 hours away, already filled out with Rebecca's information. My signature was forged at the bottom. My hands trembled with rage as I tore the papers into tiny pieces and flushed them down the toilet. Then I gathered all of Rebecca's important documents, her birth certificate, passport, medical records, and locked them in a safe deposit box at the bank. When I got home, I felt victorious for the first time in days. But that feeling died fast. I walked into Rebecca's room to tell her what I'd done. Her school bag was gone. Her favorite jacket was missing from the closet. Some of her clothes had vanished. "Rebecca?" I called out, checking the bathroom, the backyard, everywhere. Nothing. Panic rose in my throat like bile. I ran downstairs where Blake was watching television calmly. "Where is Rebecca?" I demanded. He looked up, his face blank. "What do you mean?" "She probably went to a friend's house." I grabbed my phone to call her. No answer. I tried again. Straight to voicemail. That's when I called the police. The officer who answered sounded bored until he checked his computer. Then his tone changed. "Ma'am, your husband already filed a missing person report this morning. Before you called." My entire body went cold. "What? When?" The officer's voice was professional but cautious. "At 7:32 a.m. He reported your daughter missing, said she'd run away during the night. We have officers searching now." I spun around to face Blake. He sat there on the couch, remote control in hand, watching me with those empty eyes. "You reported her missing before I even knew she was gone." Something like a smile tugged at his lips. "I woke up early and noticed her room was empty. I was worried, so I called the police. Unlike you, I actually care about her safety." His mother nodded from the kitchen. "See how responsible my son is?" I wanted to scream, to throw something, to tear the house apart. Instead, my phone buzzed. Brenda's name flashed on the screen. I answered with shaking hands. "Claire, don't panic," Brenda said quickly. "Rebecca just messaged my phone from an unknown number. She's safe. She ran away last night because Blake tried something. She's hiding. She wants you to know she's okay, but she's terrified." Relief and rage crashed through me in equal waves. "Where is she?" Brenda hesitated. "She won't say yet. She's scared he'll find her." Through the phone, I heard a ping notification. "Wait, she just sent an address. I'll forward it to you." The address led to an apartment complex on the east side of town. Brenda's friend, a teacher named Teresa, answered the door and led me to a back bedroom. Rebecca sat on the bed, her arms wrapped around her knees, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. When she saw me, she broke down crying. I held her tight, breathing in the familiar smell of her hair, feeling her heartbeat against mine. "Tell me everything, baby. Everything." Through tears and hiccups, Rebecca's story came out. Last night, Blake had come to her room again. This time, he brought her a glass of juice and insisted she drink it. Something in his eyes terrified her, so she pretended to drink it but poured most of it into a plant by her bed. Within minutes, she felt dizzy and strange. She realized he'd drugged her. She texted Brenda for help, climbed out her window, and ran. Every word felt like a knife in my chest. My hands clenched into fists. "We're going to the police right now." But Rebecca grabbed my arm desperately. "No, Mom. Not yet. Please." I stared at her in confusion. "Why not?" She wiped her eyes, and I saw something new in her expression. something hard and determined. Because I want justice. Real justice. Not just his word against mine. We need proof that no one can deny. I understood then. My daughter wasn't just scared. She was smart. And she was ready to fight back. We spent the next 2 days planning. I bought tiny microphones online and hid them in Blake's study, the living room, and the kitchen. I started acting normal again, even sweet. I apologized to Blake for overreacting, blamed my behavior on stress and hormones. I saw him relax, saw the smugness return to his face. I knew you'd come to your senses, he said, kissing my forehead like I was a child. His mother smiled approvingly. Finally, you're learning to be a proper wife. I smiled back, playing my role perfectly. Meanwhile, Rebecca stayed hidden at Teresa's apartment. Every night, I reviewed the audio recordings from the hidden microphones. Most of it was boring, mundane conversations. But on the third night, I hit gold. Blake was on the phone with someone, his voice low and confident. I'm telling you, it's handled. Claire's back under control. The girl will be gone by next week. His friend's voice crackled through the speaker. You sure? Women like that can be unpredictable. Blake laughed. Trust me. She won't last in this house much longer. One way or another, she's leaving. And when she does, everything will be mine. I listened to that recording 5 times, my anger growing colder and sharper with each replay. While pretending to do laundry, I went through Blake's pants pockets. I found a bank receipt from an account I'd never heard of. The balance made my jaw drop. Over $300,000. We were supposedly struggling with bills, yet he had hundreds of thousands hidden away. I took photos of everything. Then I hacked into his laptop using his predictable password, his mother's birthday. I found bank statements showing regular deposits from someone named Vanessa Palmer. The amounts were significant. 5,000 here, 10,000 there. When I searched the name online, my heart stopped. Vanessa Palmer was Blake's ex-wife. The woman he claimed had died in a car accident 5 years ago. But her social media accounts were active. Recent photos showed her alive and well, living in Seattle. In one photo, she stood next to a teenage girl who looked about 17. The girl had Rebecca's exact same eyes, same nose, same smile. I felt sick. How many families had this man destroyed? I contacted Vanessa through social media, identifying myself as Blake's current wife. She responded within an hour, her message short and urgent. We need to talk. He's dangerous. Call me immediately. Vanessa and I met at a small restaurant across town. She was beautiful, well-dressed, but her eyes carried the same haunted look I saw in my own mirror. She didn't waste time with pleasantries. How long have you been married to him? She asked. 3 years, I answered. He told me you died in an accident. She laughed bitterly. Of course he did. That's his pattern. He marries single mothers with daughters, isolates them completely, controls every aspect of their lives. When they try to leave, he destroys them financially and takes everything. My blood ran cold. The girl in your photos? Vanessa's expression darkened. My daughter, Sophia. When she turned 15, Blake started paying too much attention to her. Coming into her room at night, buying her expensive gifts, making her uncomfortable. When I confronted him, he threatened to have me declared mentally unfit and take custody. He had connections in the police, in the courts. I had no choice. I paid him everything I had, took Sophia, and disappeared. She reached into her purse and pulled out a small USB drive. This has everything. Bank records showing the blackmail payments. Photos of bruises he gave me. Voice recordings of his threats. But I'm warning you, Claire. She leaned forward, her eyes intense. He won't let you walk away. Men like him never do. The next morning, my car wouldn't brake properly. I pressed the pedal going down a hill, and nothing happened. My heart jumped into my throat as I pumped the brakes frantically. The car picked up speed, heading straight toward a busy intersection. I yanked the emergency brake and swerved onto a side street, crashing into a pile of garbage bags. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely unbuckle my seatbelt. The mechanic who towed my car called me 2 hours later. His voice was grim. "Ma'am, your brake line was cut. Clean slice, deliberate. This wasn't an accident. Someone tried to kill you." I sat in Brenda's living room, staring at nothing. My phone buzzed. Unknown number again. The message was short and clear, "Last warning. You're next." I looked at Brenda, then at the USB drive Vanessa had given me, then at my sleeping daughter in the next room. Something inside me snapped. Not broke, but transformed. Changed from soft to steel. I wasn't scared anymore. I was furious. "We're taking this to the police," I said firmly. Brenda nodded. "I'm coming with you." But when we arrived at the station, Blake's cousin, an officer named Deputy Harrison, was the one who took our statement. He listened with a bored expression, then dismissed everything as marital disputes and paranoia. We left the police station feeling defeated. Blake had people everywhere, protecting him, covering for him. But Brenda refused to give up. "I have a friend," she said as we sat in her car. "A journalist. Her name is Diane. She works for an online newspaper that exposes corruption and abuse. She's helped other women before." We met Diane that evening at a coffee shop. She was younger than I expected, maybe 30, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. I showed her everything. The recordings, the bank statements, Vanessa's USB drive, photos of Rebecca's text messages. Diane listened carefully, taking notes on her tablet. When I finished, she sat back and looked at me seriously. "This is strong. Really strong. But courts move slowly, and you've already seen how police can be bought. If we want to stop him fast, we need something undeniable. Something on video that shows clear intent." My heart sank. "Like what?" Diane leaned forward. "Like catching him in the act. One more time, but this time with cameras that he doesn't know about, and we live stream it so he can't destroy the evidence." I thought of Rebecca, thought of Vanessa's daughter, thought of however many other girls this monster had hurt. "Tell me what to do." We set the trap carefully. I told Blake I was going to visit my sick aunt in another city, that I'd be gone for 2 nights. He tried to hide his excitement, but I saw it flash across his face. "Take your time, baby. I'll take care of everything here." I packed a bag for show, but instead of leaving town, I checked into a hotel 10 minutes away. Brenda and Diane helped me install 6 tiny cameras throughout the house, all connected to Diane's laptop with live streaming capability. One camera focused directly on Rebecca's bedroom door. Rebecca came home that evening, playing her part perfectly. She acted normal, ate dinner with Blake and his mother, then went to her room and locked the door. From my hotel room, I watched the live feed on my phone, my heart pounding. At 11:47 p.m., Blake's mother went to bed. At 12:30 a.m., Blake's bedroom door opened. I held my breath as he crept down the hallway, moving like a shadow. He stopped at Rebecca's door and pressed his ear against it. Then he pulled out that duplicate key. My hands clenched into fists as I watched him unlock her door silently. But before he could push it open, he leaned close to the door and whispered loud enough for our camera to catch it. "If you scream, I'll make sure your mother never believes you." Just like before. I was already in my car, racing toward home. Brenda was behind me in her vehicle. Diane streamed everything live on social media with the caption, "Predator caught on camera." Thousands of people were watching in real time. I burst through my front door, my phone in one hand, recording everything myself as backup. "Get away from her!" I screamed, running up the stairs. Blake spun around, his face twisted with rage and shock. He lunged at me, trying to grab my phone. You crazy woman. What are you doing? But I'd learned from last time. I held the phone high, kept recording, kept screaming. Everyone can see you. The whole world is watching. Rebecca's door flew open. She stood there with her own phone, also recording. Blake looked between us, realizing the trap. He grabbed my phone and smashed it against the wall. The screen shattered. He was breathing hard, his mask completely gone now. You think this changes anything? I'll destroy both of you. That's when Brenda appeared at the top of the stairs, her phone pointed at him, her voice steady and clear. Too late, Blake. It's already live. 50,000 people are watching right now. His face went pale as the reality sank in. By sunrise, the video had 3 million views. My phone, the new one Diane gave me, wouldn't stop ringing. News stations, radio shows, concerned citizens. Hashtags were trending, hashtag justice for Rebecca, hashtag protect our daughters, hashtag arrest Blake. Blake's workplace called him at 7 a.m. and suspended him immediately. His mother collapsed when she saw the video, crying about family shame. Police officers, different ones this time, arrived at our door with a warrant for questioning. But the system still tried to protect him. Deputy Harrison, Blake's cousin, held a press conference claiming the video was edited and taken out of context. Some people online started defending Blake, saying I was a bitter wife trying to destroy a good man. The doubt crept in like poison. What if people didn't believe us? What if his connections were too strong? I sat in Brenda's living room, watching the news, feeling hope drain away. Then Diane burst through the door, her eyes bright with excitement. Claire, you need to see this. We found 3 more women. 3 more families he did this to. She opened her laptop and showed me messages from women across the country. Each one had a similar story. Married to Blake under different circumstances, daughters who were targeted, threats and manipulation. One woman, Patricia from Portland, had even tried to report him years ago. Nothing happened. But now she was ready to try again. And there's more. One of them is pregnant. With his child. She's willing to testify. Blake sued me for defamation, claiming I'd destroyed his reputation and career with false accusations. His lawyer was expensive and aggressive. The case went to court. Half the country watched online as we entered the courthouse. Some people held signs supporting us. Others held signs calling me a liar, saying I was trying to trap an innocent man. In the courtroom, Blake sat with his legal team, looking calm and confident. His mother sat behind him, glaring at me with pure hatred. When it was his lawyer's turn to speak, he tore into me. Called me a jealous, unstable woman. Said the video was staged, that Rebecca was a troubled teenager who'd been coached. He claimed I'd manipulated everything for money and attention. I watched the judge's expression carefully. She looked skeptical. My heart sank. Diane squeezed my hand. Trust the plan, she whispered. Then the courtroom doors opened. Vanessa walked in, dressed professionally, her head held high. Behind her came Patricia. Behind her came 2 more women I'd never met. All of Blake's previous victims. The courtroom erupted in whispers. The judge banged her gavel. Blake's confident expression cracked. His lawyer jumped up, objecting, but the judge overruled him. Vanessa took the stand. When she spoke, her voice was steady and clear. Blake didn't just target Claire's daughter. He targeted mine too. And before you claim I'm lying, Your Honor, I have proof. Including hospital records from when he broke my arm. And death certificates from his so-called dead brother, who was actually my daughter's father. He killed him. The courtroom exploded. The judge called for order, but the damage was done. Blake's face had gone gray. His lawyer was frantically whispering to him. His mother stood up, screaming that everyone was lying, that her son was being framed. But Vanessa wasn't finished. She presented hospital records showing repeated injuries during her marriage. She showed police reports that had been buried. She played audio recordings of Blake threatening to kill her if she ever spoke about what happened to her daughter's father. He made it look like an accident, Vanessa said, her voice breaking. A hit and run that was never solved. But I knew. I've always known. The prosecutor requested an immediate investigation into Blake's financial records and past. The judge agreed. Then Patricia testified about her daughter, who tried to commit suicide after months of Blake's abuse. The third woman, Melissa, revealed she was 4 months pregnant with Blake's child from an affair during his marriage to me. Each testimony was another nail in his coffin. By the time they finished, Blake was slumped in his chair, his expensive suit suddenly looking like a costume. The judge looked at him with open disgust. "Mr. Blake, based on the evidence presented, I'm ordering your immediate detention pending full criminal investigation." 2 officers approached him. His mother wailed as they handcuffed him. As they led him past me, he stopped and looked into my eyes. The hatred there was pure and deep, but underneath it, I saw something else. Fear. The judge granted me emergency custody of our home. Blake's mother was ordered to leave within 24 hours. She cursed me as she packed, calling down spirits and ancestors to punish me. I didn't respond. I just watched her go, feeling lighter with each box she carried out. The real breakthrough came 2 days later. Police executed a search warrant on Blake's property. In the backyard, under a tool shed, they found a metal box buried 3 feet deep. Inside were 37 phones, memory cards, hard drives. Each one contained evidence of Blake's crimes going back 15 years. Videos of him threatening women. Photos of injuries he'd caused. Financial records of blackmail payments. Screenshots of messages to underage girls. The lead detective called me personally. "Ma'am, what we found is beyond anything we expected. This man was running a systematic operation. We're identifying victims across 5 states." Diane's newspaper broke the story first. Serial predator exposed, how one mother's courage unraveled years of abuse. Within hours, it was national news. Television stations interviewed me, Vanessa, the other women. Rebecca appeared on camera, her face strong and determined, telling her story to help other girls recognize danger. The support was overwhelming. Strangers stopped me on the street to hug me, to thank me for being brave. But some people still blamed me. Said I should have known. Should have stopped it sooner. Blake's trial began 3 months later. The evidence was so overwhelming that even his expensive lawyer advised him to plead guilty. He refused. He stood in court and claimed he was innocent, that all the women were lying, that we'd all conspired against him. The prosecutor presented the contents of those buried memory cards. Video after video of Blake manipulating, threatening, and abusing women and girls. Some footage was so disturbing the judge cleared the courtroom. When the jury saw a video of Blake drugging a drink, the exact same way he drugged Rebecca, several jurors looked sick. One woman was crying. Vanessa's testimony about her daughter's father was backed by new forensic evidence. Investigators had reopened that cold case and found proof that the accident had been staged. Blake's phone records placed him at the scene. His vehicle matched paint samples from the hit. He'd literally gotten away with murder for 8 years. By the time the prosecution rested their case, there was no doubt. The jury deliberated for only 2 hours. Guilty on all counts. Assault, drugging, attempted sexual abuse of a minor, blackmail, fraud, and murder. The judge scheduled sentencing for the following week. But we weren't safe yet. Blake still had followers, people who believed his lies, people who sent death threats to me and Rebecca daily. Sentencing day arrived cold and gray. The courtroom was packed with victims, families, journalists, and curious onlookers. Blake was brought in wearing prison clothes, his hands cuffed. He looked smaller somehow, diminished. The judge asked if he had anything to say. Blake stood, looked directly at me, and smiled. "This isn't over, Claire. I'll get out eventually. And when I do, I'm coming for you." His lawyer tried to shut him down, but Blake kept talking, his voice rising. "You destroyed my life over nothing. I never touched your daughter. You're all lying." Security officers grabbed him as he lunged toward our side of the courtroom. His mother screamed from the gallery, cursing everyone. The judge slammed her gavel repeatedly. "Mr. Blake, you've shown no remorse, no acknowledgement of the harm you've caused. You've proven yourself to be an ongoing danger to society." She put on her reading glasses and looked down at her notes. "For the murder of Mr. Thomas Palmer, life imprisonment. For the multiple counts of assault, drugging, and attempted abuse of minors, consecutive sentences totaling 60 years. For blackmail and fraud, an additional 20 years. These sentences will run consecutively. Math wasn't necessary. He'd die in prison." As officers dragged him out, Blake screamed my name over and over. But I didn't flinch. I sat there holding Rebecca's hand on one side and Brenda's on the other. When the courtroom finally cleared, I allowed myself to cry. Not from sadness, but from relief. It was finally over. The months after the trial were strange. We'd lived in survival mode for so long that peace felt foreign. Rebecca started therapy, processing trauma she'd buried deep. Some days were good, others were hard. But she was healing. I sold the house where so much pain had happened and bought a smaller apartment closer to Brenda. We painted Rebecca's new room together, bright yellow with clouds on the ceiling. Her choice. The women Blake had hurt formed a support group. We met monthly, sharing stories and helping each other rebuild. Vanessa became a close friend. Her daughter Sophia and Rebecca bonded like sisters. The country passed new laws making it easier to report domestic predators and protect victims. Our case had exposed how easily powerful men could manipulate the system. The change was slow but real. Diane's newspaper won an award for their coverage. She gave me credit during her acceptance speech, calling me one of the bravest women she'd ever met. I watched from the audience, feeling proud but also exhausted. I'd never wanted to be brave. I just wanted to protect my daughter. 6 months after Blake's sentencing, a podcast contacted me. Voices of Survival, they called it. They wanted me to share my story to help other mothers recognize warning signs. I almost said no. I wanted to move on, forget. But then I thought of the messages I still received daily from women asking for advice, thanking me for giving them courage to leave abusive situations. I agreed. And on the day of recording, I looked into the camera and spoke my truth. My name is Claire, and I survived. Those were my opening words on the podcast that would eventually reach 2 million listeners. I told them everything. The creaking floorboard at midnight, the whispered threat through my daughter's door, the gaslighting that almost made me doubt my own eyes. I told them about the deleted video, the cut-break lines, the buried evidence that could have stayed hidden forever. People ask me how I found the strength to keep fighting, I said, looking directly into the camera. The truth is, I didn't feel strong. I felt terrified every single day. But I learned something important. Strength isn't the absence of fear. Strength is protecting your child even when you're shaking, even when everyone tells you you're wrong, even when the whole system is designed to make you give up. The interviewer asked what advice I'd give other mothers. I thought carefully before answering. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Document everything. Find allies. And most importantly, never let anyone convince you that your child's safety is less important than keeping peace. After the interview aired, lawmakers contacted me about testifying for stronger protection laws. Schools invited me to speak about recognizing predatory behavior. I said yes to everything I could manage. Turning my nightmare into purpose helped me heal. Today, Rebecca is 17. She's applying to universities and wants to study law. She says she wants to help other victims the way people helped us. Some nights, she still has nightmares. So do I. But we faced them together. We survived. And we made sure that monster will never hurt anyone again. As I finish telling you this story, I want to leave you with this. If he thought silence was my weakness, he forgot something crucial. A mother protecting her child isn't just strong. She's unstoppable.